Hello, this is Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I'm here with Self-Publishing Insiders, and I am honored to have with me in the virtual studio today Luanga, or Lou as I know him, Nuwame. Welcome.
How you doing, Mark? Great to see you.
It's great to see you. I know you have been absolutely busy. We're going to be talking about CBC coming to your home and filming you. It's going to be on actually later today, and this is what Tuesday, June 30th that we're doing this, right?
Yeah, they're going to feature many of my cardboard creative craziness on the newscast tonight, so that should be fun.
That is phenomenal. I'm so excited because I've had the privilege of being beside you at many Comic-Cons. We've been booth neighbors, and that's how we got to know each other. So you're probably, I'm dressed up a little bit differently than you normally see me when I have more skull things on me and stuff like that.
You're all dressed up. Usually, there's all types of horror stuff on you. This is a different Mark to me.
Well, the skulls behind me may give you a little bit of a hint, but so I want to go back to the beginning of you becoming a DIY creator and where it all started for you. Was it a passion for art? Was it a passion for story? Where did it begin?
Well, for my handmade cardboard flair, making crazy stuff out of cardboard, I actually started when I was a teenager. A little FYI, I grew up with a very strict father figure, so I was home a lot. And I just started playing with cardboard, just making crazy stuff out of cardboard, some inventions. I tried to get in with Canada Games and Chieftain Toys, which are both defunct toy companies now. And I just kept on creating just for the fun of it. And then really in 2008, that's when things changed, when I discovered YouTube. And I started making some YouTube videos just for easy, simple kids crafts. And then 2011 changed everything. That I worked at a warehouse, and I had access to just a copious amount of free cardboard. And it was a hot summer that 2011. I made a cardboard swimming pool just because I could, for no logical reason beyond that.
I mean, an actual pool that you filled with water?
Yes, I actually figured out a way to coat it so it actually repelled water. It kept water at bay. So I was in it. It was filling up with water. It eventually burst open, not because it leaked, but because I didn't calculate for water pressure.
Oh, okay.
And quickly the camera turned off just before it burst open. I don't know how that happened, but people saw me in the pool. But the response, it went viral back before viral was anything. And I saw that there was more opportunity to make more grandiose crafts. So it really let me explore how far I could push making things out of cardboard. And then from there, comic books and everything else just sprung off from that.
Well, I want to go back to comic books first, because when I remember you, the thing that, apart from you're a very outgoing person, very dynamic. It was very easy to get to like you because, you've got the dynamic personality and you're fun and outgoing. But the thing that I loved was your pitch for the comic books, right? Yeah. The comic book series, which was, could you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, so, you probably remember this one, Paperrock Scissors and Stuff Wars. And Mark and I met, I think it was at Hamilton Comic-Con when we were first neighbors, and I saw your stuff. I think I had entered the World of Mephistopheles, which I don't have any more copies of. That was my horror series. But comic books have always been a huge part of my life. I wasn't much of a reader as a kid. So as a Hail Mary, my father bought me Silver Surfer #4, my first ever comic book.
Okay.
And just looking through that one issue, of course I looked at it first, I didn't read a word, but just seeing it and then it changed my life. I just became obsessed with comic books. But I'm not an artist. I can't draw. I like to write.
Right.
I'm not at your level of writing, but I consider myself decent at writing, especially fantastical stories. And I came up with this idea of rock, paper, scissors after getting into a tournament with a friend's uncle who was from Mongolia, a small village in the middle of nowhere. And he knew how to play the game. And I realized that's how universal Paperrock Scissors is, but no one's ever put a story behind it and put it in outer space with their own plan, because everything's better in outer space.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, and naturally. So long as nobody's wearing a red shirt, you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars, Star Trek, it doesn't matter. Everything's better in space, Blade Runner. So I was just like, let me give them their own planet, let them fight it out. And it's done very well. We're up to, I think, issue #3 now. With artist Hugh Rookwood, got to give him a shout out. So this is issue #3 out of 4 issues, and I've been trying to expand into other comic books, other ideas of mine as well. So I'm really excited to just be part of this industry.
That's cool. What I think I like what you're talking about is science fiction is a perfect mirror held up to reality. Two things you said related to it's better in space, but this was universal, right? you could be in another country with somebody who maybe didn't speak the same language as you,
Yeah.
and you still could speak the paper rocks. It was a game that everybody knew. It was so universal. You thought you'd take it to other planets and look at these species, right, of rocks, paper, and scissors who are in this. I mean, it's hilarious that there's hilarious, but it's also a poignant look at conflicts between different cultures, different planets when you take it to outer space.
Yeah, well, this is what I want to do in it. Like I had to do a balancing act where I wanted to be, I wanted some violence and some reality in it, but also at the point where kids could still enjoy it. So as an example, this is the down here. Let me just center it. One here. That's as bad as it gets, with scissors butchering the papers. But I wanted to reflect on what happens in reality, like the whole idea of genocide, of the idea that one side feels more superior to the others. The rocks are impartial. They don't want to. They're xenophobic. They don't want to deal with this. The idea of a strong man or a strong scissors who, through her speeches, convinces a society that they need to do this and go after someone else, but also not keep it black and white. There are scissors who have no interest in killing papers.
Okay.
Papers, simply because they're weaker than scissors, papers actually figure out how to kill scissors. And, I just want to try to add some layers to everything while also incorporating all the madness. Like, for instance, there's now a plastic kingdom, there's sand and water kingdoms, and watching over everything are the anvil gods. And that's the hook I get with people that go to Comic Cons, that when I tell them about all the crazy, there's glue in there. And people are like, how does glue and anvil work into this? And I was like, you got to buy the book.
You'll be surprised at how it sticks.
I should have puns. Oh my God, I got to get ready.
That is here we go. It's going to be a pun contest. No, that was fantastic. I love that, because what I loved is you were, because I got to watch you in action, which was amazing. Is you're explaining this to people, you could see their eyes light up. You could see them get it, and then it's like, I have to have this comic.
Yeah.
So you also did. I was intrigued by the way that you had done a Kickstarter to fund. Was it to pay the artist? What was the process there?
So I am blessed. My first issue, the first one that launched all this, the artist for the cover was Daniel Wong. This cover alone pretty much sold most of the books. And then inside, the artwork was by a friend of mine, George Leon, who's a Navy veteran who lives in Camas, Washington. He did us a favor to me. But then I was out of an artist, because they're both very busy guys. So then I met Hugh Rookwood, who's worked on True Patriot, Captain Canuck. He's worked on Vampirotica, very well-loved, well-known artist. And he saw Paperrock Scissors like, Lou, I'm part of this. I'm in. I'm doing this. And so we came out with issue number 1, 2, and 3. It's been great. But, issue number 1, he did for a very low price, just again, as a favor. I'm so blessed I meet these artists who do these things as a favor to me. But by issue number 3, I was like, you know what? You need to get paid a decent amount for what you do. You have a family to take care of. I get that. So we did a Kickstarter, and it surpassed its goal. I was very happy about that. And people really resonated. And that's how we were able to get issue number 3. And then to do issue number 4, which is the last issue in the limited series, we're going to do another Kickstarter, hopefully by August, maybe September the latest, so we can wrap up the series and get it done.
Excellent. Now, what's the value of that community with Kickstarter that you found as a creative person?
Well, to be very honest, I failed at Kickstarter 3 times before for my own project. So
really,
even my first comic book, the thing that started my company, Petalianne, which was a cute kids comic that came out with when my daughter was born. We tried, Dan Hammond and I tried a Kickstarter for that, failed miserably. But at the time, I was just beginning my journey into comic book conventions. So I didn't really know that many people. 5 years later, when we actually did the one for Paperrock Scissors, I met so many more people. So it wasn't even the Kickstarter community per se, it's the comic book community that came together and helped us out. So even going back to Paperrock Scissors, these are some variant covers that came out for them. Like this one here,
oh, wow.
Michael T. Gilbert, he's a legend in the industry. He created Mr. Monster. He worked on Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge. I gave him a copy of Paperrock Scissors at Fan Expo. He emailed me right after the convention saying he loved it. So I asked him, do you mind doing a cover for me? Let me know how much it costs. The very next day he sent, because we're talking about He-Man. We both love He-Man. Very next day he sends me this. It's like, it's yours to use. Same thing with Mike Ruth, a famous cover artist. This guy's worked for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Everyone, same thing. I asked him as a favor, can you do this for me? And he gave me a free cover for it. So it's just getting to know people in your industry. And you know this with your, as an author of horror and the macabre, that you get to talk to people, get to create a community of like-minded people who appreciate what you do, you appreciate what they do, and you all want to succeed. So even with many of these guys, when they put up their Kickstarter, I'm in. I support their idea as well.
Oh, that is fantastic. That is amazing. So let's get back to the cardboard. So you're a born storyteller. You have a passion for comic books. Then you discovered that you could build bigger objects out of cardboard, like the pool we talked about, and you combine that with YouTube, like the sharing on YouTube. I know that your YouTube channel has grown dramatically over the years. How did you build that in conjunction with your crafts?
Well, YouTube has always been a hobby for me. I want to make that clear. I know there's a lot of people out there, there are people who make a good amount of money on YouTube and are successful at it. But there's over 1 billion YouTube channels. Even back when I was having my success from 2011 to 2014, I would say. But I'm serious. I'm realistic enough to know that YouTube is a great tool. It's a great way to share ideas with people, but it's mostly a tool. So I just put up videos whenever I have the time to share. So for instance, one video I love doing, it never went viral, but I have no regrets, is Game of Thrones, before that last season where they butchered it. But when Game of Thrones was really hot, I made a giant Tyrion Lannister standee the size of my 2-story home in my backyard. The thing just goes right up to the roof. And I'm a huge Tyrion Lannister fan, and people, even my neighbors, are like, "What the hell are you doing, Lou?" But it was just fun, and that's the way my mind works. When I have an idea, I just put it out there. It doesn't matter if it makes money or not. I just want to know that I tried it, I did it, and it's done. And then you move on to the next one. But currently, I use YouTube just whenever I have a comic book or an idea to share, like my beautiful Canvas series, I put out a video for it. Sometimes if I just want to geek out about comic books or make a comic book craft, which I've slowed down on doing because I have no comic book conventions. They're all canceled right now. But I like to tell people, get a YouTube channel. It's free, and it's a great way to just promote your ideas, get feedback from people, and then you start talking to other YouTubers, and you make some key connections with people who could help elevate what you're trying to do.
Well, I want to go back to one of your YouTube videos that I just thought was priceless. Now it's the full-size Doctor Who police box.
The TARDIS. Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow! But it's not just you showing how you did it, and it's a little bit of time lapse and stuff. But there's the hilarious. Your wife is pregnant. She comes in, and she's ready to go to the hospital. And you're like, I just have to binge watch, a whole season or whatever seasons of Doctor Who.
That's her fault, because she's the one who made me a Whovian. Like, we all grew up with TV, or the Canadians out there, TVO had the classic Baker Doctor Who, the 70s Wapro Doctor Who, and I watched it now and then. But then when Tennant was the Doctor, my wife is the one who pretty much sat me down to watch it, and I just got hooked. I love Doctor Who to death now. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to build a TARDIS in our living room with the cardboard I had.
Well, who doesn't need one in their living room, right?
Oh, yeah, everyone needs a TARDIS in their living room. And she was actually pregnant there. Our daughter was going to be born. It was still a month leading up to it. She was being pregnant. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I ignore you going into labor, just watch some Doctor Who and you play with my TARDIS? She's like, no, that's not funny. I go, well, we're doing it anyways. And so that's where that video came out from.
That was priceless.
To this day, it's in the basement, but I still have this fully assembled TARDIS, because I designed it where you could assemble it, and I'm 6'4". I designed it where I think it's 6'6", and I designed it where you could put it together and take it apart anywhere.
So you I don't think I saw this at any shows I was with you, but
I know the Whovian Society was there, and I don't want to compete with their TARDIS and make them look bad.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Because you could hide in there, have your lunch. But that's,
Exactly.
I love that. So what are some of the other larger creations that, larger than life creations that you have done, or life sized?
Oh man, so I've done okay. I did a rocking chair. Originally, it was based on former Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, and then I got some media attention for that. But then I stripped it because I felt bad. So but that rocking chair is still downstairs. I make a lot of furniture. I got onto the news for making both a cardboard treadmill that functions and a cardboard elliptical machine. I went through this period where I knew I couldn't afford my own home gym, so I just started making them out of cardboard. I even published it in my book, The Cardboard Bible, just showing people how to make their own cardboard furniture. I made a second cardboard swimming pool. This one was more reinforced, so I could take the water pressure. And my daughter and I actually used it for the summer. And the only reason why it fell apart is because I have a giant tree in my backyard. One thunderstorm, a branch fell and ripped it, and that's why it went away. But we enjoyed it for quite some time. Yeah, I have over like 200 videos, so it's even hard for me to keep track. And I do a lot of comic book crafts, just because, again, as a comic book geek, I show you how to make everything from Wolverine claws to a Jack in the Box of Wolverine popping out. Batman. I made a Batman costume for Halloween, like a Minecraft meets Batman, and I actually walked out into public with it, looking like a fool. Fun stuff.
But I love that you show people how to do it themselves.
Yeah,
which is
like
pretty phenomenal.
the one that I got a lot of media attention for recently is during this pandemic, and I hope everyone out there is staying safe. My daughter was home bored out of school, and so I converted our house into a giant board game using modular octagonal playing spaces, and I did it as a game show on YouTube. So help people win surprise. So entertain my family, but also entertain my viewers. And from there, CTV News got a hold of it. Reader's Digest USA got a hold of it, and Habitat.com and Habitat Magazine got a hold of it, and CBC now is gonna do a piece on it. So it really took off, and I'm actually shocked and surprised and humbled by it. But again, this goes back into YouTube, just taking a simple idea that you didn't think was going to be anything, and you just put it out there, and the public decides what they want to do with it. And I'm hoping down the line to actually do more of these kind of videos with friends and family and do bigger tournaments. So that's
fantastic. Is this board game, is it in like a book of records or anything like that? Is it?
Well, actually, bringing that up, I'm glad you brought that up. In 2009, I made a world's record attempt. I live in the city of Mississauga, which many Americans never heard of. I always have to say Toronto, but it's actually the sixth largest city in Canada with the 700,000 plus people. It's actually bigger than Miami. And to help promote the city, I made a world record attempt to make the world's largest board game made by one person. I made it purely out of wood, so it's a sustainable. It was about 775 square feet. Guinness refused to give me the world's record for it because a farmer in England, they said he made the world's largest board game, but he made it out of his cornfield, which to me wasn't fair because you're not actually building it. You're just cutting monopoly board using your equipment. That's not the same. But anyways, a company called the World's Record Academy in California, which wants to grow to be the next Guinness, they recognized it as the world's largest board game made by one person.
Yeah, made rather than cultivated from the land or something.
Exactly. So I got the record for that. The turnout was great. Mayor Hazel was going to appear, but it was a conflict in her schedule, which I understand. But it was just great. So I got a world record for that. But this one is not about a world record because it's a collapsible game. I pretty much have them stacked, and whenever you want to use them, I just simply put them in, and because it could be set out in an infinite amount of ways.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm looking to actually do more tournaments and maybe make this into an ongoing game show. Who knows?
So is this game? So for anyone else who has children at home who are bored, can they order it from you, or do they just have to watch and be jealous that you have one?
It's too big. I was actually going to make it to sell, but because of how large it is, like each piece is 24 inches by 24 inches.
So shipping.
And it's thick. So even shipping one of those things is very expensive.
Right.
So I decided not to do it that way. I decided to make other products like my beautiful Canada series instead. I made these things to celebrate our beautiful country.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I think CBC is going to be featuring that, right?
CBC. So here's the bigger one. So I made it on each province and territory. So this one's New Brunswick, and you open it up. All hand cut.
It's three-dimensional.
Three-dimensional, made by hand.
It's got the crest from the province, like the flag.
Yeah, the actual flag. And then what I did is I took landmarks and overlapped them into a giant collage, and then made it into a booklet. So this whole thing, Canadian cardboard, Canadian cut. It's 5 layers deep, and it's to help promote each province and territory in the country. And I want to show you this cool thing. This actually came in today. I made one on Saskatchewan, and this is a letter. I guess you can't see with the glare, but this is from the Premier Scott Moe of Saskatchewan.
Oh, really?
I sent him one, and he sent me back a letter thanking me for making this for him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was pretty cool.
So proud Canadians. Now we're talking on June 30th, and tomorrow, July 1st, is Canada's version of Independence Day. It's our celebration of Canada. Exactly. And can proud Canadians order their own? So I could have one for my home province of Ontario.
Oh, definitely. Like the website for it is. I know you've been streaming it. There it is. HandmadeCardboardInnovations.com. And I charge $35 for these things. Some people are like, that's all you're charging, because but it's like, I enjoy making things out of cardboard. I enjoy making things by hand. And
they're all handcrafted by you.
Everything is handcrafted by me. There's another one for BC.
Oh, that's gorgeous! Oh my God, yeah.
The totem pole. They're beautiful mountains. Because the reason why I made this is that I've been all over the U.S., the Caribbean, Mexico. Sad to say, I've been nowhere in my own country. I think Quebec is the only province I've ever visited. And during this pandemic, I really thought about it, because I was supposed to go to a comic book convention in Alberta, where Hugh is, but of course that got canceled because of the pandemic. And Hugh would show these beautiful pictures of the mountains that he could see from his backyard. It was gorgeous. Right. And talking to my friend who lives in Newfoundland, and he goes out with his morning coffee and watches icebergs float by at certain times of the year. And I was like, and so I started researching every province and territory and realizing every single region of this country is gorgeous.
Yeah.
From the fjords of Nunavut to BC to New Brunswick, every square inch of this country is gorgeous. So that's what prompted me to make these and to promote help, because I also read that tourism is struggling in this country. So I thought this could be my way of helping fellow Canadians and helping each region reach more people. Because when people think of Canada, when I go to US, they think of mountains and forests. My father, and this is a true story, when my father moved from Togo, which is a small little African country beside Ghana, when he decided to move to Canada, at first he didn't even want to come here. He wanted to follow his brother to the US. And the reason why is because he thought he didn't even believe there was cities here. It was just wilderness and bears and ice. And then he found out there's Toronto, and he saw it, and he's like, oh, there's cities here. He's like, okay, let's try this country. But that mindset still prevails today. I've met a couple from Texas that was shocked that, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, that a black guy lives in Canada, because they thought, it's just small towns, it's completely white up here, and that is it. So,
well, maybe the snow most of the year.
And it's snowing. And once you get past the 49th parallel, then it's summer.
Yeah.
Most of the 49th, it's pure winter all year long.
All year round. White everywhere you see. Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So this is phenomenal. This is in the perfect timing for this cardboard. So I want to talk a little bit about this creation, because I remember, I think I bought a Wonder Woman plaque that you had made, a 3-dimensional, because you would, and perfect for Comic Cons, and it was the Wonder Woman symbol, but it was based on images from the comic books as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it must have taken you forever to create those. Because I know Liz was a huge fan, so it's like, I have to get this for her.
I remember she demanded it. But again, I do the cardboard cutting for fun. A lot of people look at what I make and they're like, it's insane. Like, this must kill your hands or whatever. It's like, one, my wife is a nurse, so I know when my hands start getting like this, I'm taken care of.
Okay.
I convince myself of. But this has always been a hobby for me. Like, my actual job, besides running my own businesses, is a truck driver. But when I get home, just working with cardboard is what I enjoy doing, or writing stories.
Right.
So I miss Comic Cons because I make these one of a kind comic book pieces, and it's great to see people who appreciate them. I've gotten emails from people who still have my pieces up on their wall, and that makes me feel good. I've had the creators of these comic books, so Kevin Eastman, the creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn and Venom, they have my pieces in their office.
Wow.
I actually made them and I give them to them. And that feels amazing. Neil Adams, another huge legend in the industry. Like it feels great to know that there's people who just appreciate what you make. And
Yeah.
so that's what keeps me going, and that's why I'm like hungry to meet up. Hopefully we'll meet up at Hamilton Comic Con if it goes forward, because I know this is going to be tricky for many businesses. This whole pandemic has made all of our lives upside down right now, so it's even
Yeah.
tricky to promote your stuff in this new reality. So it doesn't matter if you're doing novels or making cardboard art. It's a real challenge.
So I want to talk about that a bit because, I mean, for anyone who is doing an in-person event at a Comic-Con or craft fairs or any of those places where your people are, right? The science fiction geeks and the horror fans and stuff like that. To watch you in action is to study. It's like a study of perfection in terms of introversion, humor, like your humility and humbleness as well, combined with just your genuine authenticity and enthusiasm. Did that come naturally? Have you always been that way, or did you have to work to get to that?
Well, I like the fact that you brought up the main word there, introversion, or being an introvert, because I am. My wife and I are very quiet to ourselves people, and people are shocked when I tell them that when I'm at a convention. But I explained that when my first convention experience was at Fan Expo, I went big for the first.
That's like one of the biggest ones in Canada, right?
Is the biggest one in Canada, and I did that 5 years ago, and I just immersed myself into it, and it was a huge learning experience. My first day, I was quiet as a mouse, just thinking people are going to come to me, and that first day was horrific. I sold nothing, and I had no backdrop behind me. Just put my comic books on the table, and then I had to learn quickly. I had to adapt. So that same night, I went home, and within one night, I made a backdrop out of cardboard. I actually wish I had a picture to send you. I actually made a full cardboard backdrop. Because I learned people don't look down when they walk by; they look straight.
Right.
Yeah. So I had the backdrop, and then I had to, over the next 2 days, because it was a 3-day convention, I had to get out of my shell and start reaching out to people. And then you have to deal with the rejections that you get, the constant rejections, and then the polite rejections. So you're being told, "Oh, I'll come back around," or "Cool, awesome, good luck with that, buddy," all that kind of stuff. But you learn. So by the time I got to Hamilton, which was the following year, I already had a couple of conventions under my belt, and so that's when I finally got my swagger, and I was able to pinpoint, okay, who do I need to talk to, who should I let walk by. Got my sales speech down packed. You got your elevator speech, because you only have people's attention for only seconds, so you have to hook them within seconds. And so it gives me that, and it gives me an opportunity to get out of my shell. Because if you see me at a coffee shop, I'm the guy just sitting quietly in the corner, sipping my coffee and looking out the window. That's who I am. I'm not a social butterfly.
Wow, it's so amazing because people actually don't realize I'm an introvert as well. Because usually when I'm on stage or I'm doing the things, I'm out there and I'm performing.
Exactly.
But I never, I mean, and all the times we spent together, because we're there for really long days, chatting with each other, looking like you're running to the washroom or getting a sandwich, and I'm watching your booth and you're watching mine.
Yeah.
I'd never even thought that you could have been an introvert because it just seemed so natural to you.
Well, I think that's one thing. People have this set idea of what an introvert is, and that introversion means that you're just in your shell all the time. And it's just not the case. You could be a comfortable, like when I was younger, I went through a horrible depression. I wrote a whole book on it, my own memoir about it, that back my introversion was really bad, but there was reasons for that. But then you get to a point where you become self-actualized and you realize that you are who you are, you're comfortable with who you are, and your introversion becomes a beautiful thing. So I'm a wild man when I'm with people I know and people who appreciate the weirdness that is me, because I am a very weird dude.
I think that's where we get along.
Yeah, exactly. We get along great. When you're throwing those puns online, I'm there, ready to attack with them, my own pun. But when I'm out in public, I'm comfortable by myself, and it's perfectly cool. I think when you're younger, you're so desperate to be to be loved by everyone. You want to fit in with everyone. It's when you get older, especially 40s and above or 35 and above, you realize that's not what's important. What's important is that you got your handful of people who appreciate you. I'm going to give a quote that my mother gave me when I was really young. It doesn't matter how popular you think you are, how many friends you think you have. You can count all your real friends on one hand, and you don't need all your fingers. And that is the most prophetic thing. My mother, it's deep. She told me that when I was in grade 6, but it's not until you become an adult that you really appreciate that. And when you get to that point where you appreciate, being an introvert is worth its weight in gold, because you also learn to read people. So one thing, and I'm not trying to be arrogant or grandiose about this, but I got compliments from people when they watch me at Comic-Cons, and they're like, well, why didn't you talk to that person? Or, why did you cut that conversation short? Or, how did you hook that person? I go, as an introvert, you learn to watch people. The body will tell you more than the mouth ever will. So you watch people's body language. So when you're trying to hook someone, if they're still kind of standing back or looking around, you don't have their attention. So me wasting my time trying to convince them is not worth their time or my time.
Right.
When you have someone who's laughing and making straight eye contact with you or looking down at your stuff, okay, I have your attention. Doesn't mean they're going to buy anything, but at least I have your attention.
Right.
These are the things you learn, because I see a lot of people making the mistake. Doesn't matter what, it could be a book fair, it could be a flea market, it could be a compliment, it doesn't matter. I see people making the mistake that I used to make when I was new at this. And some of these people are veterans where they're reaching out for everyone possible. They're letting people talk their ear off when I can look and tell that person's not going to buy a thing off you. So these are just the things you just learn in time. And being an introvert, it gives you that perspective to understand human nature.
You're actually paying a lot more attention to the body language and all the things that are going on, recognizing, okay,
yeah,
cut this short. Let's both cut our losses here, because this date isn't working. Right?
Exactly.
Oh, that is fantastic. So you had to pivot, right? You had to go from, hey, I'm an introvert. My first day at Fan Expo was a bust. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come back. You obviously paid attention to what was going on around. You saw what other people were doing. You came back the next day, changed it. Then you developed this amazing, because I've seen you at a number of cons, and because I know that's what you were doing. Now that we're in a realm of, you can't do that, right? There's how many Comic-Cons, like London, like so many of the cons I'm sure we would have seen each other at in the last 3-4 months.
Yeah.
How did you readjust your strategy?
Well, it's not easy. It's very hard, because now the benefit of Comic-Cons is that versus online, like, I'll be honest, I don't really sell all that much online, because when you're at a convention, you can explain, again with the elevator speech, you can explain a concept. Like, people walk by and they'll see Paperrock Scissors, and okay, they'll be curious, but unless I say something, they'll just walk on, because curiosity is not enough to prompt someone to do something. But when you can explain it, show them, get them to laugh, get them to go, oh, that's interesting, that facilitates a sale. Where when it's online, you're one website out of a billion jillion of them out there. So it's hard to get people to hook them with that interest. So this is the challenge that a lot of us have. Like, even with my 150 Canada crafts, universally, everyone thinks it's the coolest thing on earth. If I had this at Comic-Cons, I could sell it, and not to be arrogant, but I could sell these out at a Comic-Con.
Right.
Because they could see it, they could touch it, they could feel the cuts and understand what a handmade cardboard craft is, versus someone just looking at one still picture online, like, okay, that looks cool. I can't really tell how intricate those cuts are versus touching it. So it is a huge challenge. It's very difficult. But I know I'm not alone in this. I have a lot of artist friends who are the most talented guys and women out there. They've worked for Marvel, DC, all the big guys, and they're struggling because that consistent paycheck from the publishers is not coming through right now because the big companies are struggling. And I'm sure even for yourself and as a novelist and many of the other publishers that you know, the small guys, it's more of a challenge to get your stuff out there. So I am trying to use YouTube to promote my stuff, going to the media, which I've been fortunate enough that my PR game, I was able to brush off some of the rust and get some PR. But I even tell people with the PR game and getting media, it's more about luck and timing. Just getting to the media at the right time when your story makes sense, because they're not stupid. They know they're giving you free publicity. You have to respect that. You got to respect that they know that your story, you know, scandal, death, corruption, that's news, if we're being honest with ourselves. What we do is more the fluffy, nice stuff, the stuff that they sprinkle at the end of a newscast.
Yeah.
So death, destruction, corruption, wars, and look, a kid's walking his dog, end of newscast.
Yeah.
That's how
or a giant board game that you can play at home with your daughter because she's bored.
We're trying to figure out why they should sprinkle your good news at the end. So I've been looking at times where, of course, with Canada Day, this makes sense for Canada Day. It's a no-brainer. When I promoted my cardboard treadmill from my cardboard Bible book, it was in February, and I actually did that on purpose because February is one of the slowest months for news.
Right.
Not much happens in February. It's actually one of the most depressing months of the year. So a Black entrepreneur comes out with a YouTube thing during Black History Month, during a depressive month. I got it. So you could plan, but also you got to plan for when you feel it's the right time to get a story out there. So
awesome. So let's talk about the cardboard Bible for a second. So could you hold up the book for a second so I can take another look at it? So this is a book that somebody can, where can they order this book so that they can do all this cool stuff at home now?
Yeah, so this is, I made this on Amazon. I get it without the glare.
Okay.
So I sold this on Amazon mostly and Barnes & Noble, I believe.
Yeah.
So this is a how-to guide. So all the stuff on this cover. So there's the cardboard treadmill, the ball table, a C table, which is a way to eat food, and you slide it underneath your couch so it's at your lap level. So kind of like
very practical stuff.
Exactly. That is a cardboard roller. So you know those ab rolling machines?
Yeah.
Like,
oh wow.
$40, $50, $60 for these things. You can make it for $2, and it works. And then of course how to make cardboard weapons. And in here, I do step-by-step instructions on how to do everything. I give you the templates, and so and the templates actually are to spec. So I give you the calculation. So how big? Up. So they're exactly the size you need them to be, with the exact measurements and everything. So this was a way to taking my YouTube channel to the next level, and it's actually my best-selling book to date.
I'm not surprised. Did the sales go up since pandemic?
You know, I haven't pushed it. The problem that I have, my biggest folly is that I'm always creating something.
Right.
I can't turn it off, and it's not a benefit. It's actually a hindrance because I'm always inventing something. And so the problem with that is that I'm so busy making something new, the old stuff is kind of forgotten about. And so not until actually bringing this up that even you saying that, I was like, you know what? I have not actually promoted the Cardboard Bible this whole time.
I'm going to promote it because I think people need stuff like this, right?
Like,
never mind baking.
There's only one book I promoted during this pandemic, which is this one. Because again, I'm a truck driver for a major charity.
Right.
That's how I make sure to pay the bill. So, and most people don't understand how the charitable business works. So I made a tell-all book called The Fantabulously Awesome Life of Charity Donation Truck Driver, where I explain how charity bins work and how the whole donation industry works, because most people have no idea how the industry works.
Wow.
And so when this pandemic happened, a lot of charity bins were overflowing. So, you know, when the news was covering this, I was like, oh my God, I have a book on this. So that's when I started pushing it and started like, hey, you need to cover this book. And then after that, it resulted in a few sales, which was okay, and then moved on to the next thing.
Of course. I love that because you're constantly creating new things. So I kind of have to ask then, so people can order, obviously, the cardboard book, they can get it from Amazon, like order it online.
Yeah.
But if they wanted one of your custom creations, do you have stuff like preset things, or is it custom orders? How does this work?
Well, with the handmade cardboard innovations.com, everything on there is made by me. So the comic books, the 3D art, the posters, everything. That, like, I even have a family member actually got mad at me because I have a Donald Trump 3D poster on there, and I have Obama and Trump on there, and it's because I actually sold 3 of the Trump posters because I'm an independent voter, so I'm not a fan of the guy, but I understand that he does have fans out there, so I made something for them.
Right.
But I have had people contact me. They email me, and my email is homemadegameguru@hotmail.com, and they've like, can you make me a custom piece? I was like, of course. I've actually done signs, 3D glow-in-the-dark cardboard signs for businesses. I did one for a barber shop. I did one for a gym. Like, I'm always down for a challenge. Someone wanted a giant Bob's Burgers poster based on that whole I'm not a fan of the cartoon. I hate the animation style. But someone wanted a poster as a birthday present, so I made them a giant poster of it.
Oh my God!
You know, I've done family portraits. I've done one so far. Someone sent me a picture of their family, so I did a 3D
family portrait. Oh my God! What a beautiful gift.
So that was fun, and I did that for them. So, you know, people want something unique, because that's my whole shtick. Is like, no one else in the world does what I do. There are a lot of cardboard artists out there, but there's no one out there who just makes cardboard posters handmade for the fun of it. It just doesn't exist. I'm the only one who does that. So still, CTV News asked me when they interviewed me, like, is this a big business? And I was like, I'm still trying to create this business. I'm trying to start something that doesn't really exist. I think there are a couple of companies that make cardboard products that are laser cut with a machine.
Right.
But no, my stuff is one of a kind.
Handmade
stuff. So that's the whole part I'm trying to push to people, that if you want something that's made in Canada, or for our American friends, made in North America with just North American raw materials, then hey, I could do something for you.
Wow. And so what am I allowed to ask? What are you working on next? What's in the works right now, apart from this awesome cross Canada provincial set?
Yeah, so beyond that, I have I'm working on Paperrock Scissors and Stuff Wars #4 to finish off the series. I'm writing that. Petalianne, I actually just uploaded a graphic novel, because with Dan Hammond, my artist. So just to remind people, this is Petalianne here. I guess the sad part of this comic series is that it was the first one I made. I honestly believed this was going to be huge. It's cute. It's adorable. I thought, I wanted a cartoon series. It was the hardest thing to sell, because even when I gave kids the options, like little kids, okay, do you want Petalianne or Paperrock Scissors? The kids would go for Paperrock Scissors. Even little girls, I would give these out for free, and they still wanted Paperrock Scissors. So I was like, that was the weirdest thing. I made this for little girls. They don't want it. But
you made it for your girl, or initially your little one, right?
Well, my little one, my friend George, who was the original artist, who also did Paperrock Scissors. He did the first Petalianne book with me for his daughter, Lily. And then when Dan Hammond came in, and he has his daughter, so we're all fathers of little girls. But I also wanted it to be like My Little Pony, where there's bronies out there.
Yeah.
And I wrote it so there's guy characters in there. They're grandiose event. But we published 2 children's books, which sold, okay. And we tried to do in comic books, but then I realized I have so much artwork, I can compile it all into a trade paperback.
Right.
So I just last night, I think I told you about it, I uploaded it up to Amazon. I forgot it takes 3 days for them to approve anything. So they approved the ebook of the Adventures of Little Petalianne. So that just went live, I think, an hour ago. And then I'm hoping that the trade paperback will actually be approved by Wednesday. And then beyond that, I am actually trying with my board game, that whole thing there, the tournament and the game show. I'm trying to pitch it now as an actual game show to networks.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually putting together a show Bible. I've actually sent in information to CBC, to the company that owns CHCH TV 11 in Hamilton, to Global, to pretty much anyone. I'm just like, hey, like I don't know anyone in this industry, and I know it's harder when you don't have those connections. You don't have people to pull the strings for you. So I know it's a huge uphill climb, but that's the story of my life. So I'm just going to do it. And if not, if none of them are interested, I'll do it myself. I'll figure out a way to do it myself.
Oh, that is amazing. So inspiring. Well, Lou, thank you so much for the inspiration, and thank you for spending the time with me today. I appreciate that.
Hey, Mark, you know what? I miss you, man. We had such great times at every convention. I think 2 of them we were beside each other just by chance.
Yeah.
So it was meant to be.
Awesome.
We've always had fun, and I'm inspired by you. You're coming out with all these novels, and I've seen some of your interviews, and you know some people who people who are doing well, and so for both of us, I hope that we're able to weather this storm and really get our stuff out there and find success.
Amen to that, my friend. Thanks again, Lou.
Thanks a lot, Mark. You take care, brother.